guess just generally, what's your impression of the safety group so far this spring, and how has that veteran experience sort of translated?
Yeah, I've been encouraged. I think it's it's a good mix of old guys and young guys. Guys like, Preston, Austin Brown, Owen Arnett, guys that have been, really big in our culture and playing wise here. And then just encouraged by some of the young guys and transfers. I call them the Maddies, the Matt Young and Matt Trainer. They've been working at it in the 3 early enrollee guys as well. So they've been doing a good job trying to work, and been overall pretty encouraged with our progression so far.
With Trainer and young.
Yeah.
Like when guys make that jump, I guess what are you looking at that makes you say, hey, this guy is settling in, and that once he's here, that he kind of is, he has a chance.
Yeah, I think I was an FCS defense coordinator, so I think some of the just sense of urgency of everything that we do in the day-to-day here, like as far as the weight room, the walkthroughs, the meetings, the practice, that's the biggest thing I've been trying to get those guys on. Just like, hey, it's always on the line every day. We got to stack days every day. Like, what is that going to look like for us? But overall, like, it's just been about the little things for those guys to get them caught up to speed, and that's what I've been looking for from them. Like, the playing will come with it. They're obviously talented dudes. That's why they're here, and we believe in them from the recruiting standpoint, and we believe in them now. But it's still just pushing the little things with them to get them caught up to what we're doing here.
You worked with Austin Brown a lot in your previous role here. What have you seen from him maybe this spring, focusing more on that safety spot than instead of bouncing around a little bit between safety and nickel?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of growth from AB. I think a lot of it's maturity standpoint and just really taking the big picture parts of the game, football IQ, understanding big picture offensive stuff, and just taking it to the next dimension. Like, yeah, it's not only good enough for me to know what I'm doing, but also know what the opponent's going to do to me. So I've been really proud of him in his maturity that way. And I think just really harping in on one position for him has been better for him instead of bouncing him around. And, his role in the past here has been a Swiss Army knife, and that's been good for us, and he did a good job at it. But I think really locking him in at one position is really helping him out right now.
When you have a guy like Preston who's been around for so long, I guess what are you looking for him? How do you handle a guy like that in spring practice in terms of, expectations and what you want to get out of
Yeah, the expectations from the football program is that he's still going to go 100 miles an hour, full speed, live tackle, which is good. I think the biggest thing for him is, as a young position coach, is bouncing things off him. We put in a scheme, we put in a technique, we do a drill. I have a lot of conversations with Preston and just see what he thinks about some things. Because I think if we create an open dialogue from player to coach, I think it builds a stronger trust, and they're going to believe in what we're doing a little bit more. So Preston, being an older guy, just been tying him in on a lot of things and just talking to him just to make sure that him and the other guys in the room see the things the same way that I do, so we're all on the same page in this thing together.
This position's been kind of hard to rotate, I think, for this program the last few years, just because you guys had guys like Preston and Hunter with all that experience and maybe not so much behind them. Is it different this year when you brought in some of those transfers that have played before and some of these young guys? Yeah,
that's always the plan, is to build strength in numbers and depth. I think there's still things to be desired and things to be seen out there, but those guys have, a lot of those young guys, even Rafton, even some of those early freshmen, like they are growing into their role and what they're doing. But with this football calendar, there's still a lot of things to be seen. Like, what is that going to look like? Do guys need to go play 800, 700 plays, or are they going to go play 500 or 600 plays? And I think every rep matters, and the more reps we can, like you're talking about, the more reps we can take off the guys, the more healthy they are going to be in the stretch run down the end of the season.
When it comes to Matt Young's transition, what has impressed you about his ability to translate, and what does he still kind of need to work on?
Yeah, his work ethic is really good. The kid is diligent, cares about his craft a lot. He's always checking in with me, just kind of clarification on, I think, mostly schematically things that we're doing. You could tell his dad was a high school football coach. You could tell he was very well coached at a young age, and I think he kind of grew up in that environment. Just as far as things for him to do, I think he's just got to keep gaining confidence. I don't think he's shocked to be at this level. I think he knew he would end up here eventually, but it's just gaining confidence. Like, hey man, you're wearing a Wisconsin jersey, you're wearing number 29. Let's just go cut that thing loose and go play and let it rip and see where things happen. So it was really good to see him go make some plays in the live period on Saturday and just go make some tackle on some Big Ten backs and Big Ten receivers and things like that. So I think it's just gaining confidence, and that thing will keep growing as we get closer to the first game this year.
When it comes to the new guys, specifically the Mats, are you still trying to find the proper place for them on the field, or do you feel pretty confident?
Yeah, we're still trying to find the proper place for them. The defense is there's similarities, there's differences from the past, and asking what we're asking of those guys. And I think the more positions that they know overall, the more value that they're going to have. So part of that is by design to create value for themselves. Like, hey, if you don't know just one position, 2-3 spots, more likely you're going to be able to get on the field. So it's partly that, and it's partly us as a staff just overall just trying to find out what exactly is their niche and what exactly they're going to do to help our program win games. So it's a little bit of both right now.
Paul was just telling us about how maybe this year you guys are meeting more as a full safety group
Yeah.
or full secondary,
Yeah.
just splitting it up. Like, what do you think that's done for the guys on the field?
I think that's been really good. I think in college football, sometimes we get in our own silos, right? Like, and I think especially at this level, when you have a lot of really highly qualified coaches, especially Coach Haynes, who's been around for a long time and been a head coach and a defensive coordinator, like, we can get in our own little worlds. And I think just getting those guys together has really grown relationships. First and foremost, I think especially in two different groups, like corners and safeties, they might be DBs, but they're not always necessarily the same in the way they approach things. So I think just getting those guys together has made them better communicators on the field. And we're going to be able to get through those, those critical moments. So there's moments of adversity, and you see better communication on the field as we go throughout the spring. Not only because we are getting together, but also because of the challenges the offenses are presenting to us. They're making us work mentally out there together. So it's been really good.
Coach Haynes was talking about the importance of creating takeaways in the secondary. Austin Brown's had a couple. I think Preston Zachman had one yesterday. Just what was your impression of how this group has performed in that regard so far this spring?
Yeah, it's been good. When we've had the opportunities to catch the ball, we've been doing a pretty good job catching the football and high point and making it ours. I still think there's an emphasis of what we call a bicep punch, like when the ball carrier has the ball, like can we force more fumbles? That is a category that Coach Tress and Coach Fick, and especially Coach Tress in meetings and to the defense has really harped on. And we still got to grow in that mindset of like, are we hunting the ball? Are we getting the ball out? And a lot of that is just built through confidence in your leverage and confidence in what you're doing. So we've done a good job, but there's still a lot of room to grow, so we can get the ball back to our offense. And that's the number one thing we got to do is create turnovers.
Like a guy like Hunter Warley's, like he is on field. Value speaks for itself, but he's also a great leader behind the scenes. Has one guy kind of stepped up, or is it kind of like an aggregate of guys?
Yeah, I think it's more an aggregate. Like I don't want to call it by committee, but I think there's three guys that have been in the program that are in that room. It's Zachman, it's Brown, and it's Arnett, and I believe that all three of them lead in their own different ways, which is great. Owen's a little bit more vocal on the field, and he's going to be on guys a little bit quicker. Zachman and AB doing their own different ways as well. So I think between myself and the three of them kind of conversating about how the leadership in that room is going to look, I think they've all done a really good job taking on that new role. And, that's nothing against Hunter, and Hunter was an unbelievable leader. And sometimes when you have that one guy lead, it's a lot for that one guy's shoulders. And I think it's been really good that we've been growing more leaders in the room and saying like, hey, it's okay for you to step outside your comfort zone. Like, you are a senior, this is your team, this is your program. So it's been really good between those three.